equality, and those voices, a lawyer, social activist, and a former civil servant. Ms. Abha Singh has built a career on courage, conviction, and compassion. Today, we go beyond the law to discover the woman behind the strength. Welcome to Behind the Strength, Ms. Singh.
It's a pleasure to be here on your show, Behind the Strength. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Abha-ji, you left a successful career in the civil services to become a lawyer. Looking back, was that the bravest decision you've ever made?
Yes, I would say that because, having a government job and that too in the civil services makes things very easy for you.
Right.
You have a status in the society. Forget that. I had around 20,000 people working under me. I was the director of postal services for Maharashtra and Goa. So you can imagine, and salary is also good, all the perks, you get a government house, transport, and all that, and the prestige, because today also if you see more than 10 lakh people take the exam.
Correct.
It's a craze in this country to be a civil servant. I am shocked when I hear people saying now the dowry rates of the civil servants is into crores, 50 crores, 80 crores.
Oh my God.
And IAS and IPS is getting in marriage. And when I decided to leave, people said you're crazy. In fact, before me, my husband quit. My husband was in the police. So when he was leaving and he said, no, we need to come out and we need to have a strong voice. So that time I was working.
Right.
But when I left, the children were worried. My son said, I am studying. I think you should wait for me to get a job because there'll be nobody to pay my fees.
Absolutely.
But I felt that the women of this country needed me. And the biggest loss you have in the government service is that you can't speak, you can't express. And when the constitution gives you fundamental right, freedom of speech and expression.
Correct.
So I said, no, I have been in a cage for a long time. So definitely when I quit, I put my papers. 6 months, I'm not ashamed to say that I howled also. Because I kept thinking whether I've done the right thing, how will it go, because we'll have to leave the government house, where will we stay, I'll need an office on rent. I was most worried that my driver will go, and how the things are.
You're basic, yes.
Yes, you could say that, and because very few people leave the job. But my conviction and commitment was so much towards the women of this country that I said, no, I need to come out, and while working only I had done law. My children used to go to school and I used to go for evening classes. I did law from Bombay University. So it was there in my mind that the biggest strength is law, biggest strength is, so yes, I would definitely say.
Yes, and where better to voice yourself?
Yeah, than in the courts.
That where decisions are made.
This Sunday only I was just flicking through Times of India and the cover page, suddenly I see that 30 lakh compensation, even in cases where manual scavengers have died in private houses. It didn't have a name. I said, okay, this is my case. On Sunday, national page, cover story is your...
Absolutely,
So then I realized it's worth it. That
and you made a difference.
I made a difference and I got a widow 30 lakh rupees.
Absolutely, yes.
And a widow whose husband died for 1,000 rupees. They were that poor. They could have never even come to the court. I fought that case for 2 years virtually, Aurangabad bench. So yes, I think it's a
brave decision. Absolutely.
It is a brave decision, but worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely agreeable. Was there one defining moment that made you realize that law was your true calling?
I'll tell you, yes. I come from a family of civil servants. I had got married to an Indian police service guy and he was in the CBI and somehow he took on to the rich and mighty, the corporates of this country, and he was transferred from the CBI. And they sent him back to Maharashtra police. I said, good, you go back because you're an IPS officer. Right. But he said, no, my transfer is wrong. Right. I was doing good. I was exposing the nexus between the corporate and the financial world, and I've been wrongly transferred. I'm going to fight my transfer. And he didn't have a law degree. But what the system says that your own case you can fight in person.
Absolutely.
So he went. The lower courts he lost, even the high court he lost. Okay. But Supreme Court he defeated Kapil Sibal without a law degree.
Oh my God.
So when he was coming back, I was in Siddharth College, Bombay University, taking a form of LLB. I said, in today's system, very difficult for honest people to survive. Right. So I got and when he came back, I had a LLB form in my hand. And I said, look, your future is law. Right. So he joined in 99 and the next year, 2000, I also went and I got the form. Because when I was seeing his crusade and I saw nobody from the cadre comes to support you, neither your colleagues nor your seniors, you will also realize when you're fighting a battle, there is nobody around. You have to fight your
Absolutely.
battle alone.
Right.
So that time it was only your knowledge of law. He would read the books and I would carry his books. You know, he would argue and I would be sitting, you know, and you say fence sitters learn the most.
True,
So I would
absolutely.
be seeing and I would see and I would say, no, now the judges turned hostile. But Supreme Court, there was a lady judge. And I told him, I said, you will get justice now. You may have lost in CAT, you may have lost in High Court, but there's a lady sitting there. And somehow I had it in my mind that we women have more compassion, more empathy, honesty. And I'll tell you why I feel women are more honest, because for myself, for yourself, all of us, I feel, because when we work, rest of the time we want to run home to take care of the children.
True.
We want to sit with them with their homework and
Correct.
all those household work. So we, like the male colleagues, are not in the evening whining and dining. So it's very difficult to corrupt the women or catch them. So that was, and when my husband won in the Supreme Court, I said, see, a woman gave you justice. So after that, we both did law. We completed, he was 1 year senior to me, but I realized that nobody will stand by you, but your knowledge of law will stand by you. And I remember my interview, I said, the real temple is this court, the temple of justice.
Absolutely.
Because my husband was on without salary for 10 months. He would have left if he had not won, because if you fight the system, you are just, kicked out.
Discarded.
So it reposed my faith, and that was the time when we studied law, and I realized that you're not helpless.
Right.
Even if the system is against you, the power and the mighty are against you, if you have a law degree, you can wear your robe and stand in the court and scream. At least it's a catharsis also, because there's somebody who's listening.
Absolutely.
Because your friends and your relatives have turned their face.
True.
So
Agreed.
I think that was the point. You know, it was 2000, 2001. My daughter was 7 years old. I remember from office, I would go for my classes, So that was the time, I mean, I can draw. Yeah. So we both, in fact, the children also studied law. I mean, then I realized that the real strength is law. Made both my children do law. Son is practicing with me.
Wow, that's amazing. So inspiration started at home.
Yeah, it started at home.
And
I think our honesty was the inspiration, because we felt honesty we will not leave, and justice. So these two things, honesty and justice.
And very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Very rare. And it's tough.
It's tough.
Once you don't get your salary, your transport is withdrawn. In fact, there was a stage when the telephone lines were also disconnected, because the government was so scared, So it's like that. So then I realized, I said, no, if you have to stand on your own feet, means you have to have knowledge. So that's what I tell everyone. I say, listen, do law. Knowledge of law is something which really helps you.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree, because now in every area of life, I think you need to know the laws of
whether you bump your car, Motor Vehicle Act, your insurance, if they are not paying, you go to the Consumer Protection.
Housing development.
Housing, RERA, you have to go to the housing.
Precisely.
Family issues. You need to know the what is domestic violence. I do legal aid camps and all, in the slums and all. In fact, I was running a legal aid center in Dharvi before COVID. And there would be women who would come to me with children and say, absolutely, husband has disappeared with some other woman. They don't even know where to go, where to find him.
But that's, unfortunately, that's a mundane thing, unfortunately.
And they won't even know how to go about, how to file a police complaint or do a DV. Then I would tell them, doesn't matter if he's disappeared, you do a domestic violence case. The court will send him a notice. He will have to come, So you realize in every facet of life,
there is law.
There is law. It's your actual cover.
Absolutely. People know Abha Singh, the lawyer and activist. Who is Abha Singh when she leaves the courtroom?
Abha Singh is a movie buff. I'm a Netflix buff. I mean, I am watching movies in the night and friends. I vouch by my friends, because I feel none of us have relatives in this city. We all have come here to work. And so friends are something, friends and family, and like my daughter, children, of course, now the son is married. But I think my friends, my movies, my food,
Absolutely. Yes.
These are the things. And plus, yes, I get a lot of calls from women all over.
Right.
You know, like I was coming and I was trying to read something, you know, I mean, even in the car, I said, let me not waste my time. There's this woman, her 20-year-old son eloped with a girl who was 17. And they got married. Son was 19 and the girl was 17. She sent me the pictures of her children's marriage. But the girl came from a very powerful community. So under parents' pressure, she buckled down and they went and filed a case of rape, as they say, you know, like, and they had the pictures of the wedding and everything. And she said, no, he forcefully took me, and maximum kidnapping cases are false, like these, you know, these teenage kids who run away. So what the police has done is that the boy hid somewhere, the 19-year-old child who had married this girl. So the community, the girl's family, they forced the police to arrest the mother.
Oh my God.
So the mother was arrested, and that 19-year-old boy felt so guilty, he committed suicide.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? So I have got those papers. I will show you, you know, on my mobile. She sent me the girl, the pictures of their marriage and this, that. So Abha Singh, when she's not in office, is handling these things.
Right.
Because there'll be some people calling up somewhere and they're so poor, she can't afford. She says, just get me justice. I mean, the people for whom I lost my son. And she says, I had 3 daughters and 1 son, you know, like the only son, you know, like what
Yes.
it is for the...
In this day and age also, it matters to a lot of
so
people.
Abha Singh does have her fun with nice coffee, lunch or a dinner. But whatever time is, it goes for these. Like that I did, that compensation was in Nanded. You know, so women all over the country, they call me up and they'll say, please
It's
help
in
me.
continuum, it doesn't end.
It doesn't end. So then my free time goes a lot in. And now I've set up a pan-India organization, you know, it is called Ask for Justice. So I'm trying to get pro bono lawyers
Right.
pan-India, because there are a lot of children who want to help. So, and see, for justice, you need people, you know. So like...
And you need the right people.
like this Nanded case was fought in Aurangabad. So then young lawyer volunteered there. I would do virtual hearings from here, but then he would be there to take the file.
Of course. Yes,
So
you need
now
someone.
this case is from Jaipur, so I need...
On floor. Absolutely.
So my free time goes on saying LinkedIn, I need a pro bono lawyer here. Can somebody... So, you know, it's like that, you know, like...
Yes, agreeable.
It's work with... entertainment also. I
But
won't
it's
say that I'm a
gratifying.
very boring
It's gratifying.
person
You
because
feel-
I go for movies. I love watching movies. I love watching movies.
Yeah, but it's gratifying at the end of the day where you feel like someone is
You know, the biggest high is that. People say, what is your biggest high? I said, my biggest high is when I see my women who have been suffering and they are happy and smiling and they say, oh, listen, we knew we could fight back. So I think,
Absolutely, yes. You founded the Run Samar Foundation to make legal help accessible to those who often don't have a voice. What inspired you to start it? And what has been the most rewarding part of the journey? I think you've already answered that in more ways than one.
You know, Ran Samar, my father's name was Ran Bahadur Singh. And my father-in-law, Dr. Samar Bahadur Singh.
Okay.
Now, Ran Samar together means battleground in Hindi. And I always felt, I come from Uttar Pradesh, I mean, again, a patriarchal state.
Yeah.
And I feel to be born in a state like that, it's a battleground always. You know, to be born itself, feticide, you all know how it takes place. We see
Yes.
honor killings, we see dowry deaths. I mean, even when I'm talking to you, there are 19 dowry deaths every day. Can you imagine? I mean, in 24 hours, 19 dowry deaths every hour. A woman is burned
And it's
for
not
dowry
changed in
till today's
2026,
time.
yes.
Yeah, it has not changed. So I've been seeing these things but my father, I'm grateful to my parents, you know, even being born in UP, I got a very good education. So I knew that my strength today is only education, you know, like I went to Loreto, I went to JNU in the 80s, you know, I mean, being born in a Rajput traditional family and yet going up to JNU. So
Yes.
it was my parents. So as a tribute to my parents, then got married young. I was married at 21. So father-in-law also could have said, no, there's no need to work. You know, those were the times, and like we were taught that you be docile, you listen to the elders in the family. But I felt these two men really shaped my life, you know. So as a tribute to my father and my father-in-law, I set up the Ran Samar Foundation. Through that, we do vocational training. for girls. There were these school dropout girls in Dadora village in Barabanki. So we finance their education. Or sometimes the parents say, no, you stay at home and work,
Right.
cook and all. So then we counsel the parents.
Correct.
We do mental health camps in prisons. In fact, when this Sia and Ketan thing happened, people thought, ki, how could a woman kill her fiancé? I wanted to tell them, in fact, I said it on the television channels also, that when I was doing this camp in Barabanki, in Raebareli jail, I saw a lot of women under charges of murder. They were undergoing imprisonment and murder. So I said earlier it used to be only 498A dowry. So the jailer said, no, you ask them. So it turned out that a lot of these women in the village had murdered their husband with the help of their lover.
Oh.
So yes. And I asked them, but rural India is a different thing. We don't
They do
get
not
into
get,
it.
they do
They
not
don't
get the media attention.
So I said, Sia, because she's in the city, suddenly you are realizing this.
Right.
This happens in rural India most of the time.
This is
Because
actually
I saw at least 12 women under murder charges undergoing imprisonment in Raebareli jail.
Oh my God.
So, but we are not interested in their life.
We don't even get to know about it.
But this is something, and I'll tell you, maximum murders take place for failed love affairs or property. These are the two cases only. So, but we thought, oh, how Sia can do it, how she can do it. But I said, Sia, on one hand, you give freedom to girls to party, to drink, and then on the other hand, at 20, you want to get them married.
Yes.
So it's patriarchy.
Absolutely.
Any voice which is standing up is against patriarchy. Even the girl who killed her husband on honeymoon in Meghalaya,
Correct.
she wanted to marry someone, but you forced her to marry arranged marriage. So then you have to train them like that.
Right.
Like I will say, my case, I was studying, but my mother always told me, listen, you can go anywhere, but don't let me down. You have to marry a Rajput and it will be a boy of our choice. So when I was in JNU, I had blinkers like this. I mean, even when somebody tried, I would tell them. So they used to say, oh, you are a country girl. I said, yes, I'm a village girl.
Yes.
But I know I promised my mom, at least I'm grateful that she sent me to study in JNU in the 80s,
Right.
90s, 80s, sorry, say forgetting also 40 years now. So, but today's girls, when you're giving them that kind of freedom.
Of course, it's been nobody says it's a great act that has happened.
No,
It
it's
is
not
still
a great act.
It is a heinous crime.
It's a heinous, she will suffer, but a 20-year-old child, her life is destroyed.
That's what I'm saying.
No crime before. In fact, if I am a lawyer, I will get her out. Because the law says what is a criminal antecedent. She has never committed a crime. And the boyfriend also would have pushed her.
Right.
And there are chances that she will reform. Criminal justice system is not only says ki deterrence, it says reformation. So she's not a habitual criminal. We can say anything. But for a 20-year-old to get into that stress,
Right.
so the parents are equally to blame. I hold the parents responsible for that, not her.
So there is a thing that the entire family has been a part of many things. In fact, yesterday, I read somewhere, now I don't know how authentic this information is or, the source of it or whether it actually is correct. However, I read somewhere that apparently her brother was also engaged to Ketan's sister and the idea was to become the inheritor of the property at the end of the day.
So see, these are games which elders play.
So again, this could just purely be baseless. I am just stating whatever, it could be hearsay, but there are so many stories that come up. There is no authenticity or there is no 100%.
There are always two sides of a story. You can just not hear what media is telling.
Precisely.
Same is the case with Tusha Sharma.
Yes.
I mean, everybody is saying that the mother-in-law is the villain, but nobody is telling us, did she have a mental health issue? Like it's a suicide. Media ran a narrative that it's a murder. See, half the time media are running stories for their TRP. Right. So I feel, as my experience in law and in real life is, don't jump to conclusions. Hear both the sides. That,
Absolutely, yes.
And that lady only was trying to give her side of the story. 2 lakh dowry. She says, I've seen the bail order and all. She has given around 7 lakh rupees to her daughter-in-law as pocket money. And nobody is seeing that. And you're saying...
It's not even mentioned.
It's not even mentioned.
So coming to this, as I said, it's not even mentioned. We don't get to know about half the things that are happening either in rural India or, the actual nuances of a case. Do you think social media or media, the offline media, do they play a very big role in the decision when it comes to justice, or is that something which is isolated and justice takes its own course on the basis of facts?
No, see, Giribala's bail was cancelled because of the media trial. The lower court gave her anticipatory bail because she had a standing in the society. She also had never committed a crime. She was a woman of great values, virtue. Bail was granted. She would have not run away. She was on a post here. And these are the only two reasons when you cancel a bail is either the person will flee or will destroy evidence. But what was there? Police had already come. So it was basically a media trial in which High Court under stress cancelled her bail. And even now, she is not out because of the media pressure.
Correct.
So definitely the media has an impact. And even if you see now this student unrest,
Absolutely.
everybody is glued to the social media. The main channels have not even run it.
Right.
There's a big question that where are you? Where are all these main channels? They are not there. But again, if you see, like if I discuss the NEET, the leak of this medical entrance, 20 children committed suicide.
True. Yes.
So who puts the pressure on these children?
Yes.
That is a question. You know, we all are parents. I remember my son was not performing very well in school. I was okay, you know, fine. But then one day in 10th standard, I said, listen, you better get some good percentage because your grandmother, my Sas, is going to say that you are only working, you are only bothered about yourself, your son has not performed well. So my son was having dinner. He says, okay, how much marks you want? I said 85% should be fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and he got 90%. But what I'm trying to say is we put so much pressure on them.
Yes.
So children committing suicide, we are saying, oh, the NEET got cancelled and they had to appear again. Blame is there with the NEET. I would say how a paper got leaked. You need to fix that. It's corruption. It's the system. But children committing suicide, we also have to take the responsibility.
Yeah.
Why are we putting so much pressure? And the social media is responsible for that. You know, I have so many law interns and they don't get good placements once they complete their degree. And then they tell me, ma'am, I am off LinkedIn, I am off social media because people are putting pictures. I am starting with this firm. I have got this job. And here the poor child thinks, oh, there's something wrong with me. I also got a degree, but I'm not getting a job.
Right.
So I feel social media has turned out to be detrimental for our children. Absolutely. It is creating mental issues, health
Depression.
issues,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So half of this is because of social media. And then safety. We think our children are safe at home, but you have these predators who are catching them in their house only, you know, in the cyber stalking, cyber bullying and all that. So now Australia and all have come that below 16,
Yes.
no social media. Even I would say.
I salute that decision.
Even I think India
I
should
salute
bring
that
it.
decision.
Little
Yes.
children should not be exposed to this. And
Absolutely.
judges also come from the society.
Yes.
So I was doing the hit and run case of Salman Khan, and how much trolling was done to me. And I had just started practice, and but again I said I came from a very strong background, and I was mentally very strong. I could face it. But social
Absolutely.
media can be detrimental. It is.
It is. It is certainly on one side. It's said the main news channels will not show you what is actually happening, but social media is giving you the real picture. How true
No,
do you
see,
think
you
that
see,
is?
it is, you know, if you see the lathi charge of Delhi police
Yes.
on these little children, school going kids, girls. I mean, my question is, did you see any lathi charge when the Maratha reservation morcha was going on?
Right.
Did you ever see any lathi charge on every day you have these political morchas and all?
Right.
But see the mindset. College students, because they are no vote bank, you just beat them.
Right.
And it is only the social media which has shown us.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, nobody would have got to know
You're right.
that how brutal the police can be, how brutal the system can be.
And if there's, suddenly there was a silence from celebrities at some point. Suddenly the celebrities have started talking.
Yeah, because I don't blame them also, because they know
Yes.
there'll be ED and income tax running after them.
Absolutely.
It's not the first time. So many people who have spoken earlier have had income tax raids, ED raids. Everybody is scared.
Yes.
So why would they speak?
Very true.
So, so I feel sorry for them at times. that if they speak, then they have the agencies after them. If they don't speak,
They're
you
always
have
in a
trolls.
catch-22,
Yeah,
yes.
you
They don't know which way to go.
You have trolls after them. And
Understandable,
everybody
yes.
doesn't want to be a politician.
True.
See, for a lot of people to be seen and making the right comments is because you have political interests. So these are these photo ops for you. A lot of people come for that.
Correct.
So, that's why I said, without seeing both the sides, one should never jump to a conclusion. I mean, there was so much of media, stress that Amir Khan came out and said that Sonam Wangchuk was never my hero.
Yes.
I mean, if you see that in his Three Idiots,
Wait.
everybody said that down the years that it is Sonam Wangchuk.
That it's based
and
on
then-
his character.
on his
Absolutely, yes.
character. And now poor Amir Khan, because of all the media trolling, said, no, it has nothing to do with him.
The pressure builds up.
So it's very easy to say that they are not speaking, they are not speaking.
Absolutely, yes.
See, Aam Aadmi Party came. Arvind Kejriwal became the chief minister. But all the Bollywood people who went, they are nowhere.
Right.
So they are not members of parliament or because they participated in the crusade. So you have to see that also, because who is behind that? What is their agenda? So, I mean, if somebody tells me, no, you come, I would like to know where is the funding coming from?
Correct. What is the intent
What is
behind
the
it?
intent? What is the intent? What is the funding? But see, this protest at Jantar Mantar, it was for NEET.
It was for students.
It was
Absolutely,
for students.
yes.
It was for students, and it was for the paper leak. In
Right.
5 years, 3 times the medical entrance has been leaked.
Yes.
So it showed that the collapse of the education system.
True.
So for that, we all have been tweeting. We may not have gone to Delhi, but we are supporting them. We are there for them, because you see what the cause is. For the students, for the education system, I think we have a right to walk to the parliament. We have a right to question our politicians.
Absolutely.
We have a right to demand that the minister should step down. If you remember, there was a train accident and Lal Bahadur Shastri ji was the railway minister. He stepped down.
Yes.
So it is you take the moral responsibility.
Absolutely.
But now in today's time, no politician wants to take the moral responsibility.
True. And also now there have been a lot of political parties suddenly supporting the movement.
Yes, because these youth, in fact, I was just seeing that almost 2 crore children in the age group of 18-19 have got voting rights recently. So these people are going to vote and influence their election. And they have to be seen. You had ex-chief minister, Uttar Pradesh's wife coming there to support. You had Mahua Moitra, everybody, because see, end of the day, it's a battle for survival.
True.
And we've seen how MPs have defected, how political parties are being destroyed. So now the opposition has also realized that if they don't come together,
Right.
they will not survive. So, and they have to come and support, because the youth, every parent is worried about their child.
Absolutely.
If
And we're a
20
young
children,
country.
yeah, a young country, and when kids are committing suicide,
That's
it is something to be worried about. It
Absolutely.
is something to be talked about.
It is a
Forget the
concern.
pressure.
Yes.
Forget the pressure. But the issue is that children are doing coaching, and if the paper is leaked, and somebody else is taking away the seat.
Yes.
And not only that, you see UPSC also. If you don't settle or fix the NEET, next problem will be the UPSC. Children are spending money like anything. Parents are selling their land to send them here for coaching. I am shocked. In our times when we took the civil services, it was all in-house study.
True.
There was nothing like that. Maximum for the coaching, there is to be Rao coaching and some correspondence notes. Today, you have so many coaching centers, and they are giving a revenue of 300 crores, 400 crores. From where is it coming? Is rural India, parents are taking loan, they are selling their land
Precisely.
because the dream of making their son IAS, IPS. And who's benefiting? The coaching centers. And I'm sure, and in NEET, it was the coaching centers which leaked the paper. So education has been hijacked. And if you see
Absolutely.
all the medical colleges, the private medical colleges, engineering colleges, they are being run by the politicians. So it's politicians who are making the money. It is the coaching classes which are making the money. And the poor student is committing suicide because of the stress, because of the pressure. So India is boiling, and if the politicians don't take care of this,
Right.
it will have very grave consequences. And I think that is why every political party has now come at Jantar Mantar.
It's got
because
an
they
attention
have
of the
failed,
world.
They have failed the youth of this country.
This entire protest was not being covered by our media.
Yeah.
It has been covered by BBC abroad. It has been covered by Australian channels. All over the world, people are talking about India. We have had people from our neighboring country speak about it.
Yes, of course,
and cover it.
And not only that, if you see, the main TV channels are trying to call them anarchists.
Yes.
I mean, I am ashamed of these anchors that here are kids. You have zipped your mouth. These kids have the courage to come out and speak. These kids are coming out on the roads and fighting for themselves when it should be the adults and you who should be fighting. You have zipped your mouth. And when these kids have had the courage to come and ghirao the parliament, you are saying they are anarchists. They are funded by foreign people. What nonsense. These youth have finally come because they realize that if they don't get jobs, what is the point of studying? For MBBS, if you don't get a government seat, you are spending almost 50 lakhs to 80 lakhs for your 4-year degree. And then if you want to do your MD, that is further specialization, and you don't get a government seat, the asking rate of these private colleges is for a master's degree is 1 crore donation. So it has become, education now has become a thing of the rich only. And very right, all the politicians have sent their children abroad to study. Indian system you have destroyed. No, people will wake up. And if the adults are scared, then if you remember Marx, he says you have nothing but chains. You will lose your chains. You break your chains. Stand up.
Yes.
And these children, hats off to their spirit.
It's been astounding to see them.
You know, bruised and yet speaking out when the adults have failed them. Absolutely. When the parents have zipped their mouths, the politicians are not speaking, then it's the children who are showing us the way. And I feel we are in a safe country and they will protect our democracy.
They've just united.
Yes, they have shown us that this is why India is called democracy.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have a book of Ambedkar in their hand, they have a constitution in their hand. So, what nobody else could do.
Yes. Gen Z.
The Gen Z, I am proud of Gen Z and I feel India
they shocked us. I mean, we were always talking about, Gen Z is this and they're that and lazy.
We were telling our children, what we feel, mat pang sab chalta hai. So the children have said, no, hum panga bhi lenge aur hum chalta hai. So, I'm hoping for very good days that our democracy will come up even strong.
Kudos to that and full support for that and for the children out there.
Yeah, how beautifully they are telling the cops, आपके भी तो बच्चे होंगे.
Yes, I saw the girl.
That is so touching.
I saw the girl who was crying. Yeah, I saw her. Yes, I did see that. And that was a very heartening moment.
Very, and the beauty of this country is that if you see how many people are sending food, Mumbaikars have sent food by Swiggy to these people. So that means they have touched the raw nerve of the country. And India is supporting them. I mean, hats off to a country called India. Only we can do it in India. That send food, send water, stand by them. Yeah.
The true
and
national.
Trying to divide us on religion.
True.
I never think that anything is on,
There's nothing like that. I think inherently we're all united.
Yeah. India ki jo Ganga Jamuni tehzeeb hai, that end of the day, it's our hearts that connect.
True. Absolutely.
So that is what is happening at Jantar Mantar ki.
We've also seen now, the CJP. Movement becoming a national conversation. What are your thoughts now on the people who have raised this concern?
It was I would say it was the Chief Justice Suryakant, who just used the word cockroaches because I think he was flustered with RTI activists and, whatever it was. But a person sitting in America,
right,
made Cockroach Janata Party. But if you see his history, he was with Aam Aadmi Party. He was working as their media. So then you realize that to be heard, to make an organization, you have to be media savvy.
True.
You need to have money because if you have seen the eloquent that you need a lot of money to promote, to publicize. So basically the faces which I am seeing, in fact I was just hearing a short story where the one of the persons is asking them. So one says that Ranka says that I had studied at London School of Economics and I was trying to look for a job and we both had worked for Aam Aadmi Party and so I asked Dipke had also completed his degree and he was looking for a job and meanwhile 15 days this fell in our lap.
Correct.
So then I feel something which has fallen in your lap. How you take it forward is the most important thing. Today, because country has not come together just for Cockroach Janata Party.
Correct.
Country has come together for NEET. Because 20 children committed suicide and Sonam Wangchuk came and said education. So the cause is so noble. So people have not come just for these two people. Because you can make the reels and show that you are standing there and sitting there. But it is like Anna Hazare.
Correct.
Aam Aadmi Party came because of Anna Hazare.
Absolutely.
So Sonam Wangchuk, he has foolproof credentials. He
Right.
came on that hunger strike, and education of this country has really gone to the dogs. You know, unemployment,
Yes.
expensive education.
Inflation in every department.
Expensive also because,
Absolutely.
and children sitting in coaching centers.
Right.
See the number of coaching center fires have taken place. Lucknow, be it Rajasthan, be it anywhere. So, education is some, and the youth, as you rightly said, India is a young country.
Absolutely.
So, I would say this movement came because the cause, education, that thing.
The spark.
Yeah. And every parent is concerned about the education of their child.
Right.
I have a grandson and he's just 1.25, and the mother is now worrying Montessori, and she's saying, you know, children have started going to Montessori.
We've all been there. Yes,
Huh?
I agree.
I started only after 5 years. We thought once the children are 5.
Yeah.
Then my mother sent me to nursery or KG, whatever I went. But now it's 1 year, 2 months.
Absolutely.
So education has become so important.
Right.
So I think, you know, people who made Cockroach Janata Party is irrelevant. Main thing is the issue which they took up.
Absolutely.
And I think it's Sonam Wangchuk being hungry for 22 days. You know, so people felt that it is for our children you're doing it. And the kids came. Because NEET is taken by almost 22 lakh children every year.
Right.
And 22 lakh people going to repeat the exam.
Correct.
And it turned out 2024 it was leaked, 2026 it's leaked. In 5 years, 3 times.
3. Yes, it's been
And हमारे यहाँ यही बोला जाता है डॉक्टर इंजीनियर बनो.
exactly.
So every
yes.
second child has an ambition to become a doctor.
However much we've moved forward in the urban areas, but in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, still doctor, engineer,
You know, in fact, I was
lawyer.
reading one interview. The girl said, you know, I couldn't get a government seat and I couldn't afford a private seat. So I wanted to be a doctor, but now I'm training to be a nurse.
Yes.
I wept my heart out. I said, see, this girl wanted to be a doctor, but she can't take a private seat.
She can't
Your
afford
government
it.
seats are all rigged. Because it turned out that someone in Rajasthan, 5 children made it from the same family. And that family is responsible for leaking the paper
Oh my God.
last year.
This is worth fighting for.
This is worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I was saying, like today, if Abha Singh is a voice, Abha Singh has the courage because of her education,
Right.
because of her knowledge of law.
Absolutely.
You know, so you and I, we all have come to Mumbai. We don't have a business background or money. It's our merit.
Right.
It's our education.
Absolutely.
So every parent realizes. So I think that is why the support is there. The Chief Justice of India must be cursing himself that why did he call the unemployed youth cockroach? Because it hurt. Even when I read, I said, wow, how can you call... It is your fault, it's government's fault that it can't have that many jobs. And you know why this is going haywire? The population. And no political party wants to talk of population control because they would lose election.
Right.
Today, Mumbai has become so filthy, you know, your
It's
AQIs are
congested.
congested, your roads are leaking, you know, like there is garbage all over, Mithi River, you see. Why? Because everyone from India is coming to Mumbai, because even if you sell bhel puri sandwich, you will make more money than a job of a clerk in UP or in Bihar.
And of course, then everything else is better over here. It's city life. So it's much easily accessible.
So that's what I'm
So-
saying. So, you know, population you didn't control and now they are unemployed.
Right.
So somewhere the politicians have to give an answer. And we need answers. We didn't have the courage to ask the answer, but at least the Gen Z has the courage. It is, so again, coming back to it, salute to the Gen Z.
Absolutely. And unity in numbers.
Yeah.
And what numbers?
There.
And what numbers not only in Delhi, in Shivaji Park, all over Bombay,
All over.
in everywhere. I saw it in Goa, Patna. Everywhere people are coming together.
Education is,
Absolutely.
we are ready to eat less food.
Right.
We are ready to wear less number of dresses. But education, we want to spend maximum money.
True.
You know, that is the change which has happened because.
And why not? That's the future of India.
That's the future. Every parent is ready to put loan. How many people? I know my postal employees, their salary was nothing. One day I met him, he said, नहीं मेरी बेटी को अमेरिका पढ़ने जाना था. मैंने कहा तुम्हारी सैलरी 50, तुमने 80 लाख का लोन ले लिया. He says कोई नहीं मैडम, बेटी जब नौकरी लगेगा तो मिलके हम उसको दे देंगे. So that is India that is dreaming.
Yes, absolutely. No, today it feels like everyone needs to have an opinion instantly. ये हो गया है, let us give our opinion.
Reels. We all want to
Immediate.
put reels.
Immediate. And it's live also now. So, do you think we've forgotten how to pause, wait for facts, and then make, or give our opinion?
True, absolutely. In fact, half-cooked facts, people start speaking.
Yes, absolutely.
And because issue is, I have to be number one to get more likes. I have to be number one to get more views. Definitely. It is very necessary. You know, at times I speak a lot on TV and suddenly a call will come from one of the channels. We want a phono from you. I said, but I need to know what the issue is.
Without even knowing the issue.
They say, no, you go live.
But about what?
You know, then I'll say, no, you first give me the facts. And at times I've seen they'll say it's a rape. And it will turn out like I told you, it's a consensual relationship, you know, like...
which has been twisted into something else.
Because the law says that false promise of marriage is rape, you know, like if you've had a physical relationship. So, but I need to see that you can't equate him with a Nirbhaya rapist, na? Because that's a relationship where you said and now the courts are saying that just because it didn't end in marriage, you can't call that person a rapist.
Right.
If you're an adult.
Especially if it's consensual. Absolutely.
You know, if it's consensual, and for 4 years you've had a relationship and then you say a person was, so then on those issues I feel no, without knowing the facts.
Yes.
Because so many times I've seen that because you put a false charge, these men have gone and committed suicide. Because it's a stigma.
It is.
It is a stigma. And
it's not something that erases at all, in fact.
Yeah, and that is why I feel the laws of defamation, they are gaining ground. A lot of people are now filing defamation suits because you are talking anything.
Right, and defamation cases were very rampant only in US earlier. And suddenly now it has taken a very strong stand even in our country.
In our country, because your reputation is sacred.
Absolutely, yes.
At the end of the day, you know, so influencers.
Yes.
See, now there's been a fine on one of the influencers, 3 lakh rupees the court has fined.
Right.
You know, you are making fun of the disabled, you are making fun of the marginalized communities, these stand-up comedians.
Right.
So, you know, just because of cheap publicity, you are ready to make crude jokes. So, I think we need to strengthen our laws of defamation. And to check this, we need speedy justice, you know, not like Tariq pe Tariq, that the case is on for 5 years, 10 years, then you can't afford a lawyer. So, I feel in 3 number of sittings, the court needs to say that it has to be decided in 3 sittings. It has to be decided in
multiple fast-track courts.
Yeah. Though fast-track courts also come, there are no judges. So, after my experience as a lawyer, I feel setting up a court is not the issue. Issue is what will happen. The other side will not come up and take a date. The lawyers will purposely adjourn the issue. So, what it should be that the clear thing is there that in 5 sittings the case has to be decided. If you are not coming, it will be still heard and it will go against. It will be decided ex parte.
Correct.
So you require changes in that.
Right.
You know, and like today also they said we will set up for paper leak, we will set up fast track courts.
Yes.
There are fast track courts, lots of them. But do you have judges over there? If it's going to go on for years, the purpose is defeated.
Absolutely.
So justice has to be speedy and conviction has to take place.
True.
You know, in rape cases, right now the conviction rate is only 28%. So who will come and file a case if everyone will go scot-free? Because cases they drag on, so many witnesses turn hostile. Right. So many victims, then they are of a marriageable age, they don't want to come and depose.
Absolutely.
So I feel justice has to be speedy, you know, time is the essence.
Absolutely, you're right. Otherwise, they always say na ki court kacheri ke chakkar mein mat faso. It's sad, but it is true for the common man.
You know, as a lawyer also, I tell so many people ki if you can settle your thing, especially in family law, if you can do an out-of-court settlement, it's easier because you'll be washing dirty linen in public and then your lawyers will only fleece you I'm a lawyer, but I am saying that because they're going to charge you money.
True. They're doing their job.
No, they also need to run an office.
Absolutely.
And it's justice is expensive. So it is better if you can sort it out. So
Absolutely. Women today know their rights more than ever before. Do you think society has evolved at the same pace?
laws had to be made a little tilted towards women because we had issues like sati, we had like dowry deaths.
Feticide.
So, child marriage. So now there are men who say that, oh, laws favor women. But I think it had to be done to give them their right
Correct.
and to make them bold that you can stand up to domestic violence, you can stand up to issues. So I feel laws have been able to really empower women, but they are empowering the city women. They are yet to reach the rural India. Because I work a lot in rural India, and there I feel women, in fact, a lot of women in city also, they are okay if their husband slaps them. Because where do they go? We have the Supreme Court said a woman has a right to ancestral property. But I would like to ask how many women actually get? If there is a brother in the family, he will ensure that, you stay in your husband's house only, don't come back, like how it is. Which is a fact. So women don't know. In fact, when I came to Mumbai and I was working in the customs, there was a senior officer. His wife used to stay in the colony where I was staying, and his lady friend was also staying in the other building. And then I said, why is the wife not leaving him?
She was aware.
She was aware. Then everybody said, where will she go? At least here she has a roof over her head. Her children are being provided for.
And society.
And society.
That's the biggest stigma, society,
So
especially for the urban.
Laws are, but the social patriarchy, the social stigma. So a lot of women who are suffering, they are suffering in silence.
And it's a conditioning also that comes.
Yeah, so I feel laws are there. And very few are able to take advantage of that, advantage or get justice.
True. What's one legal right every woman in India should know, but many still don't?
It says police cannot arrest you after sunset and before sunrise. Right. In the night, you cannot be called to the police station. But yet so many times it happens. So, I feel every woman should know that nobody can call you in the middle of the night, call you. And then if you want to register an FIR, you must get a copy of that FIR. And it should be given to you in the language you know. I handle criminal also, and so many times women say, bring the FIR, like in Maharashtra, they give it in Marathi.
Correct.
And they say, madam, हमने तो बस sign कर दिया. मैंने कहा तुमको उन्होंने बोले नहीं मराठी में. I said, no, if you don't know Marathi, it's your right to ask in the language you know. So this is what I want to tell through your podcast today. When you go for a complaint, even if he says no, you translate and give it to me.
Absolutely.
Don't sign on anything. And what happens is that they will put charges which are very weak, which will destroy your case.
True. And you won't even come to know
You won't even come to know. When it comes to trial, at that time you see, what it is. So that is what I would like to tell you, women, that before you sign, read it out. Getting an FIR is your right.
Absolutely.
So many times, you go for a dowry case or something. The police will now, they say, kya re miyan biwi ka case hai, settle karo.
Yes.
I said, no, it's a cognizable offense. There's 3-year imprisonment. So you better write my FIR. Absolutely. FIR is my right, and then you investigate. If you feel there is no offense, you close the case.
Normally they say it's a civil matter. Keep it only in the house. Don't. Why do you want to? And they start counseling.
That is why the latest figures of NCRB, 6,458 women were burnt to death for dowry last year. In today's society, I mean, if you can think of it, then how are you calling it Miyan Biwi ka mamla? How are you calling it ki ye to settle karo, settle karo? See, when a crime is happening, if a crime has happened, you have a right to get an FIR.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I think everybody needs to know about this.
And yes, and what again our Jantar Mantar thing has told us, that police is here to serve us, not to boss over us.
Correct.
We are paying their salary. Right. It's the taxes which we collect. So that has to come, that if you're a government servant, you are a servant. You're a servant of the citizen of this country. You're not a servant of the politician.
Correct.
And that is what has to change.
Absolutely. Yes. Do you think emotional abuse is finally being recognized, or do we still have a long way to go?
It is being recognized, especially Gen Z. Now it gives back to you that you beat me when I was a child, you did not listen to me. So I feel we are being taught by our children that look,
Yes.
you better speak properly, you can't be rude. And for women, I would say that they still suffer in silence because they think, so many women come and they say, you know, our husband's cheating on us. There's a concept of open marriages now, which, you know, like how it is. But they say, for our children, where do we go? Again, that issue comes is this. So I would like to say that every parent should give their daughter a roof over her head.
Right.
Don't spend money on a marriage. You know, you do destination weddings, you do this, you do that. Give your daughter a house so that emotional abuse which is happening, forget physical, emotional is more hurting.
Absolutely.
When you just degrade the woman in the house.
Absolutely. And it's mentally traumatizing.
It's traumatizing.
Absolutely.
Their self-esteem goes. But if they have a house, at least they can walk out.
Right.
You know, so my experience has been that every child, be it a boy or a girl, they must have a roof over their head. And once when they have an inheritance or a house, the husband also respects them. And forget, if your parents have not given, I've seen women who are working,
Yes.
who have paid for the EMI, and yet their name is not there in the flat.
Oh my God.
You know, it's the husband's name who's first, there's a second, or they have paid, collected money or small savings and paid by cash. All the check payment is by the husband. So these tiny things I feel women should know.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of it. Why not? If you are paying for it, why should your name not be first?
Precisely.
Enough of patriarchy.
True. I agree. Yes.
So, you know, and then when problems happen, you suddenly realize everything is in the husband's name.
Right.
You have nothing.
Yes, and then you're just left wondering what happened when you've invested as much
Yes.
emotionally and financially.
I know, how could we have said, they would have said we are greedy, we are this. I said, what, greedy? You know, so I think the social pressure.
A lot of social pressure.
We need to break the social pressure.
Absolutely.
And till the time we don't break, all carry baggage. I think you and I would be also carrying baggage.
If someone feels trapped in a toxic marriage, what's the very first step they should take?
You know, create a record. Because when you come to courts for domestic violence or you come for alimony, maintenance, husbands will immediately put up good pictures saying, no, she was having a great time, she was traveling abroad, she was doing this, there were no issues. So there is no evidence that you were being tortured, you were being harassed. And because cruelty as per law is not only financial or physical, it is emotional also. You know, India's law empowers you so much that cruelty is emotional, physical, mental.
Right.
So I always feel that if you're facing a toxic relationship, you are in a toxic relationship, you must inform, if you don't want to tell your parents, your friend, and document it. Because what happens, then they will say, no, you are making it up for extortion. That's the new thing.
Yes.
Now these groups have come, Men Against Violence, and, you know, National Commission for Men, they are demanding. But as I said, women have suffered down the years, so they require a little protection. So most important thing is, if you're in a toxic relationship and you're deciding to move out or file a case, collect all your evidence. Right. Your facts should be documented, and there should be people who should be in confidence that when the trial happens, they can come forward and depose for you that yes, she was going through this.
Absolutely, yes.
And also, like I say, that even in the police station, even if it is, your complaints should be there. Right. NC, which we call, that you must have record. Because in the time of the case, they always say, no, you are making it up.
Right.
It was never like that. And the husband will say, see, I took her on a holiday abroad, I did this. So, and generally I've seen in toxic relationships, those men are charmers.
Yes.
They have split characters. You know, for the world, they'll be very soft, gentle. But for the wife and the children, they'll be animals.
True. Yes, so it's always two-faced.
Two-faced. So it is very necessary that if you're in a toxic relationship, either your parents or your well-wishers must know.
Absolutely, yes.
Don't keep it quiet or hide it. True. Because then you don't get any advice and you don't even know that how toxic it is. Right. You feel, no, it's okay. I think that's how it happens.
Yes, everybody is facing this.
So, document it, get outside support, counselors, and move out. There are shelter homes. Yeah. Every area has a protection officer. You can go to the protection officer. and ask for help.
That's information. I'm sure for many people who are not even aware of what you just said as protection homes, protection officer,
Shelter homes.
shelter homes.
You have a National Commission for Women, you have State
yes.
Commission for Women.
That, yes, of course. What's the biggest mistake people make during a separation or a divorce?
Financial is one thing.
Right.
That when you are leaving your husband, number one, you should not leave the house.
Right.
Because that's your matrimonial house. So many times women, they say, Ki, how do we face it? So they go back to their home or something. So my advice is, don't leave that house where you've come as a bride, you've stayed, your children are born. You have an equal right to it. The DV Act is very clear that it is your shared household. So if we can prove in the court that husband's hurting you, troubling you, creating problems for the children, it will be the husband who will be thrown out of the house. Or the court will ensure that your house is adequately divided with cameras and he cannot come in your side. So even if the house is not in your name, not in your husband's name,
because it's your marital home.
Marital home. So that's the first thing in a separation or divorce. Don't leave your matrimonial house. That roof is yours.
Right.
And once you're living in that house, you can negotiate a better deal also.
Right.
So that is very important. And second is your Stridhan.
Right.
Whatever a girl gets at the time of her marriage, even what her mother-in-law gives her, whatever comes at the reception, the gift and all, that's your Stridhan.
Correct.
So just don't think that what your parents gave is yours. What your mother-in-law has given, guests have given, it's all yours. So don't do the mistake of just leaving everything in your mother-in-law's locker. I always feel that it should be separated. Girls should be smart enough that you have a separate locker, put your jewelry, because that's also a solid amount of money in today's time. So women need to be financially intelligent. They should not leave the house. And third thing I feel is local police station also, there are Mahila Thanas.
Right.
So there your complaint should be there.
But as you mentioned, not to leave the matrimonial home, but there are a lot of women who go through such kind of torture that sometimes they don't have a choice but to escape that space. What about those situations?
See, in those situations, as I said, the law is very clear. If you can prove that they are torturing you so much, then the husband will be asked to leave.
Correct.
Or they will put CCTV cameras and bifurcate the house.
Right.
Because the courts are very clear. There are so many Supreme Court judgments which say that women, children and elderly parents cannot be left destitute on the road.
Right.
To fend for themselves.
Absolutely, yes.
And you always have a right to go and file an FIR.
Right.
If you are being beaten up. So the law is there to protect you.
Absolutely, yes.
Don't think you're helpless. The moment you think you're helpless, then you embolden the other side.
True.
And the moment you start taking help, then they would know that you mean business, you are not the helpless kind.
Absolutely, yes. You have to have that kind of support to even make your stance visible.
Like when women come to me, I say, make up your mind. Because when you go to the court, it's going to be really dirty. They will character assassinate you. But once you've made up your mind, then it doesn't matter.
Then you have to go for it.
Yeah. When you feel you want justice, you have to fight for it.
True. Absolutely. What's one legal myth that every Indian still believes?
Everybody feels कि कुछ हो नहीं सकता. सबको, they resign themselves to fate.
Right.
So that is, I feel, no. It may take time. But end of the day, there is light after the tunnel. The darkness will go, there is light in the tunnel. So people feel कि नहीं, कानून अंधा है. It is not. Slow
I have seen that in many cases.
Slow and steady.
Yes.
But
on the flip side, Abhaji, I've also seen that many people give up in the middle because they're so tired of repeating the same emotional trauma or physical, the episodes or maybe whatever they've been through. They're like, we're speaking about the same thing every day and we are not seeing anything coming out of it. Maybe now, ho gaya, let's give up.
Day before I was in family court.
Right.
And this case is really interesting. The mother, theirs was a love marriage. And this lady had a 2-3-year-old, I think 5-year-old son. And she went for a divorce and she didn't take anything because she just wanted her son and move back to her parents' house. She said, no, I don't want anything. And because for a mother, main thing is her child.
Absolutely.
So they feel, let's not take anything, but give me the custody of the child.
Right.
So she got the full custody. And the husband was not doing also anything. He was a waster or whatever it is, nothing. Now, after 20 years, it's the other way around. The father is dead. The wife has a old mother, 80-year-old mother to look after. She's out of that house, a parental house. The brother is taken. So we have gone back to the court and we are now asking for,
Oh my God.
money
Yes.
from the husband. But the law is so beautiful. The law says that even at the time of divorce, if you've not taken, but after 15 years, if you come and say, no, I want alimony, I want maintenance from my husband. If you have remained unmarried, the husband will have to give you.
Absolutely.
So we are trying to prove to the court that this case is maintainable.
Right.
It is maintainable because she is destitute
Right.
and she has not married. So she may be divorced today,
Yes.
but she should be maintained by the husband.
Yes.
I mean, hats off to our lawmakers. I mean,
When
if you
when
see-
women are in the right,
but who would have thought that after divorce also,
it's- yes.
if you didn't get right,
this is something that, of course,
Huh.
as I said, lot you all hear it, you all are facing it because you all are there. We as common people don't know of all this and these possibilities. So
after
it's
15
enlightening.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, after 15 years, I mean, this case is very interesting. And I said, and then I thought, so, and I just put myself, I said, I said, you're very foolish. She says, but at that time, I just wanted my son. And if I had asked for thing, he would have said, and he was a bad influence on my child. And then he would have said visitation rights. So he thought he doesn't have to pay anything. So he gave me the full custody of the child.
Absolutely. Literally, as you said, now this question kind of resonates with whatever we've spoken about. You've seen the best and the worst of humanity. Has it made you trust people more or less?
I was telling my children also the other day, I said, I am shedding my friends. I am shedding my acquaintances because there are certain people who I feel I gave them so much of my time, energy, they didn't deserve it.
Right.
Because end of the day, I would say I'm a very good human being. My parents gave me values. I am what, I was always told to be a good human being, to help others, that thing. But I realized the people have become very selfish,
Right.
self-absorbed. And, there are people whose cases I've taken up. I don't take money. Most of the time are pro bono. But the moment the things are settled, they don't even pick my call.
Oh my God.
So then you realize, oh my God, when they enter your office, it's a different face.
It's always two faces.
And because they know the moment they have a brand called Abha Singh taking care of them, their things get sorted. Because I don't compromise and I work hard on my matters.
Absolutely.
So, and another thing which I've seen today is that people are very competitive now, jealous and negative.
Yes.
So, I was telling someone, I said, friends which I had in my 30s and 40s, most of them have gone. Now I'm trying to have very few limited 4 or 5 friends whom I can really discuss my problems, discuss my pain. And I know that for them it is not gossip. It is something
Right.
which it will touch them.
Understand,
They
yes.
will help me or they will guide me.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, I feel in today's world, people are cutthroat competition, jealous. They will not even bother what's happening.
And once you've seen a side of it that not many people get to see, which is really not the best side of society, you become a little more sensitized to people.
Oh, yes.
You understand,
the other
where
day
they're
I
coming
was-
from.
Yes, I was telling the other day, I said, earlier I would take anybody's case. I said, no,
Right.
people would come weeping and I would say, yeah. Women also.
At face value.
I said, arey, bahut problem hai. They are so vindictive, vicious. They forget that I have appeared 20 times in the High Court for them free.
Oh my God.
They forget that.
Yeah, every day people show you a new side of how low they can probably.
So now, the moment I see people and I say, no, I'm not taking your case. Because their negativity transfers to me.
Precisely.
And I don't want to.
Absolutely. No,
Rather, I do for people like the widows of manual scavengers whom I have got them compensation, women who are not educated, who do not know the ABC of law.
right.
At least they have gratitude. They are grateful.
And that is what matters at the end of the day. At least acknowledgement.
Not these vicious, vindictive people. for whom I have spent hours and hours and hours. And they've not even bothered to say one thanks.
Yes.
Forget thanks. They have gone and maligned you all over.
Oh my goodness.
So, as a child, when I was growing up, I realized the uncle and aunties were so nice, like parents, friends. Even now, if you talk to them, they are full of love, affection.
True.
So I see the generation, change. At least in
Absolutely,
emotions,
yes.
like there is
There's a very big difference.
very big
Very
difference,
big
very
difference.
big difference.
Yes.
You had neighbors where you could just walk in anytime. So yes, people have become competitive, jealous.
Very, very,
very.
yes. Speaking up often comes at, a personal cost. And sometimes, we stay silent and that also comes at a personal cost. How do you decide when your voice is worth raising?
This question reminds me of my father. He would always tell me, like I was very outspoken. He would always say, nobody will like you, because you are very blunt. And he would say, learn a little diplomacy. So then I would tell my dad, see, if I am blunt, but I always speak the truth. I never make up things. So I don't want such people to love me or be around me who don't like it. I said I'd rather be like this than
Yes.
change myself to be popular.
Absolutely.
So that is.
So have you ever, had to decide that this is now the time I'm going to raise my voice, or maybe not?
Yes, that it happens. It happens. I remember when, as recent as Tuisha's thing, everybody was saying for the girl and not for the Giribala. But I said, what is her fault? I was doing a podcast and I said, no. I mean, why should I go? Even for Sia, when I said the 20-year-old, you made a villain out of her, but see her parameters. So, when I feel that something wrong is happening, the narrative, Sushant Singh case, I was the only one, and on the national channels, I was saying it's a suicide, not murder. I know when everybody was gunning for Ria, I was the only one on Arnab show or whatever channels. I said, no, he was a drug addict. He's committed suicide. How the woman is with her parents. She's gone away. How are you putting her? And yet the media trial, and she was in jail for so many months. So, my gut feeling and my wisdom, I would say, I know what is right and wrong. And if something wrong is happening, I can't stop myself. I can't stop myself from speaking, and I give back. So even in the courts also it happens that certain issues I have really gone and really spoken my mind, and at that time the courts judges also say, oh, you're trying to say this, you're trying to threaten. I said, Lordship, I'm not threatening. I have come to you with a begging bowl, virtually asking for justice. But if you're not going by what I'm saying, you dismiss the case, I will go to a higher court.
Correct.
But don't delay.
Yes.
Because there were these teachers. I was handling these 5 teachers case of a very prominent school in Navi Mumbai. These teachers said that the principal had sexually harassed them. And because the school had to protect its brand, it dismissed all the 5 teachers.
My God.
So when we went to the Navi Mumbai, that Panvel court, some court there, we went there. The school, because it was a top end line school, top of the end school, and so they got all those big councils. And how it is, big law firms. But I traveled from here. I said, no, for these 5 teachers, I'm going to stand. Right. So then it became a little hot-headed, and then the judge said, but still the judge understood and we won the case. So I said, you dismiss the case. I will go to the higher court, which I will advise all lawyers not to say, because no judge would like to hear that.
Yes.
But I'm saying even in the court it happens.
Yes.
That because if I feel if the judge is not being, true to what I am trying to say, or it's justice for those 5 teachers.
Absolutely.
I said, they are all 40 and 50. At the age of 50, they are not habitual complainants. First time in their lives they've come here.
Right.
So, and no women will complain if this is the treatment they get.
Absolutely.
So,
yes, I agree.
For me, justice is my life. It's my breath. So when I feel that justice is being compromised,
that's when you speak.
I will speak. I cannot remain quiet, even if it may damage me.
Right.
It may damage me.
Has it ever, if I may ask?
Yes, it does. It does. In the government service, it does. There are so many times I have fought with the bosses because some transfer postings were not right. I felt those children needed protection, the juniors. I have fought. So many times, bosses, politicians, I have done it. But I say I'm fine. No, it doesn't matter. See, if you are not scared of the consequence,
right,
then nothing scares you.
True.
Nothing scares. If I could leave a class 1 job,
Absolutely. I mean, with a director. I don't think anybody would want to leave that position. It's a very comfortable space to be at.
but if I could leave a job. So I always feel that we have nothing to lose but our chains and fears.
Absolutely.
Nothing. And you die only once. My dad was a very brave guy. He was a President Medal for Gallantry holder, He was a cop himself. So I saw a very brave father. And he would go to these encounters late in the night and all, like UP had lots of dacoits and all. So I was a little child, get scared, Daddy, tum ja rahe ho, come safe. He says, Beta, life and death is in God's hands.
Right.
So even if somebody wants to kill me, can't kill me till it's my last day.
True.
So I think that learning from my father really made me,
Who
nidar.
you are today.
Nidar kehte hain na,
Haan ji.
yeah, nothing scares me.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Why do you think so many people today are still silent despite knowing, that something is wrong?
Because, see, South Bombay votes the lowest. Kolaba has the richest people, but last time also the voting was just 28%, 30%. In fact, I did a voter awareness in South Bombay. I took out a rally under Run Summer and we went saying, come out and vote. So that is also silence, because you are disinterested, you are not bothered. You are only interested that mera ghar, mere bacche, mera business.
Correct.
So they are not bothered. उनको holiday abroad करने जाना है, उनको property बाहर बनाना है, और जो यहाँ भी रह रहे हैं, they are disinterested. They only want कि हमारे घर का खर्चा चलता रहे, हमारे बच्चे सही रहें. तो पुरानी कहावत थी ना कि आप दूसरों के घर में आग लगेगी और आप नहीं जाओगे बाल्टी पानी लेके, तो जब आपके घर में आग लगेगी, nobody will come.
Exactly, yes.
So the people who are remaining silent, they should know that you are promoting more problems by remaining silent.
True.
So,
You're right. Absolutely.
So people, as I said, they are becoming self-absorbed.
Right.
Self-absorbed, self-centered. So they are silent. They are not bothered. उनका काम चल रहा है ना.
Right.
And I think that you can say for all the HNIs who are now migrating to Dubai and all who are leaving the country and going away, you have made money in this country.
Right.
And then you want to enjoy the fruits abroad.
Because they say over here there's nothing much to live for.
But you've earned your living here only.
That is true. What advice would you give, to parents, as we spoke about social media as it's a consensus now among a lot of parents that social media now should be banned above the age of, say, 15 or under the age of 15 or 16. What advice would you give to parents with young children today? Because there is so much bullying, so many attacks, whether it's cyber or, we saw a recent sad case of a suicide of a girl. It was an extremely sad situation, and I don't think anybody needs to go through that as a parent or as a child for that matter. What advice would you give to the parents today?
Parenting has become very tough. It was extremely tough in today's time. My advice would be is just be with your child. Let them grow the way they want. We as parents have done mistakes, but I would not like any parent to do any mistake. Like we were working, so our children went to creches, babysitters. Like my daughter-in-law was working with Deloitte and she had a baby boy. And I told her, I said, why you want to work? Take a break, take a sabbatical, give them the time. So I feel the biggest thing is give them as much time you can give.
Right.
That is the biggest thing, and keep an eye. You need to have reliable help. The family system is breaking up.
Right.
So I feel the grandparents should be brought back again. They can take care of your children in a far better manner than your house help or your...
Absolutely.
So I would tell the parents that just keep a watch on your children and don't put pressure on them that you have to become a doctor, you have to become an engineer, you have to do this, do that. No, just let them bloom, blossom.
True.
That is the main thing. Let them do what they want to do. Like I look at my grandson and I say, oh, I'm not going to put pressure on, like I said, now my children now tell me, you forced us to do this, you forced us to do this.
Right.
So I realized that, oh my God, now nothing. Just let them enjoy education, let them enjoy their careers, whatever they want to do.
Right.
That is what is most important, because the way the mental health and all that is an issue. So, and it is all connected to childhood.
Right.
The childhood traumas carry on. So
For life.
For life. Parents should be less ambitious about their children. Give them the sky to bloom and the garden to play. And the garden to play.
True. If you could change one law for tomorrow, for the future, what would it be?
one law. There are many laws I would like to change, but this teenage romance, which is criminalizing these young children, like, because now it's a permissive society, children at the age of 9, 14, 15, 9 to physical relationships. But now our law says that under 18, having sex with the girl is a rape. So, like, this 19-year-old boy has committed suicide because he went and married a 17-year-old girl. And so this is the first law which I want, because you are criminalizing young kids, and teenage romance is very common now. So I have gone to shelter homes and these dongri and all, where they are these young kids who are 16, 17, they are undergoing these offenses, So this is the first law which I want to change, is that if it's a consensual relationship, if it's a teenage romance, don't put these school kids under the punishment of rape and put them. So, this is one law which actually the government needs to look into. Sure. Because the children are traumatized, and today's society is permissive. We are following the Western culture. So you say that below 18...
It's not. Yeah, I know, because if you see the people who are educated as such, I mean, the kids who are all the schools probably.
In fact, kidnappings, I was just seeing Mumbai police came out with some figures for last year. They said there were 18 offences of kidnapping, of which 9 where these girls had voluntarily run away with their boyfriends. But they were registered as kidnapping. So I would like this also, that this kidnapping, and majority kidnapping cases are these only. The little girls have...
Doesn't it just waste everybody's time with false cases like this?
And when the girl comes back, the little girl, when the parents bring her back, she's under the influence of the parents. And then she'll say, nahi, wo mujhko bhaga kar le gaya tha. So ye kidnapping, that also, this law under kidnapping also needs to be changed. That what is kidnapping? Kidnapping is somebody comes, kidnaps you for a ransom, not your school boyfriend who's studying with you has run away with you. So this kidnapping also.
Was there ever a moment when you questioned your own strength?
Oh, million times. Million times. I always say, मैं तो भारतीय नारी जो होती है वो अबला ही होती है. Got married at 21. I'll tell you, when I was taking the civil services exam, I took the prelims from Delhi, JNU. But then my in-laws insisted, no, you have to take the exam from Lucknow. I didn't have the courage to say that I am in the JNU, let me do my exam from there. Correct. I went to Lucknow. I mean, I was such a fussu, I would say, that, that I stayed in my in-laws' house and I took the exam. Because Lucknow had a center. None of us, neither did my parents, nor I had the courage. Then I remember another stage, I'll tell you, I got an interview call from RAW. I always say, my daughter says, no, don't keep cribbing that I would have retired as director RAW. But then my husband said, no, you can't join RAW. RAW is such a secret agency sort of a thing, So then I came to Postal and I didn't join that organization. So at some phase, all of us are. To say that you are born metal, you are
not
born,
possible.
No, you evolve down the years.
And I always feel that strength always comes out of your biggest fear.
Yeah. So, then and you evolve every day from strength to strength.
True.
So, the Abha which was of the 20s or 30s was a very different. But what I am today,
of course,
it has evolved.
100%,
And I think that is in every girl's life.
Absolutely.
It evolves, like marriage, because you feel, oh, you have to make your marriage work. Right. And I would call our generation was a generation that was taught to adjust and compromise. That we have not taught our daughters.
Not at all, yes.
Like in our times, marriage was premium, career was secondary. So at least now I can proudly say for us, for our daughters, career is first, marriage is secondary.
Absolutely, yes.
Like even you have a daughter, and I'm sure you would say, no, first a career.
100%.
First a good education.
Yes, 100%. I tell her that every day. And she's
so young. That's what I say. We all have evolved. So we've all had our weak moments. But totality, if I see, it is strength, more strength, less weakness.
Absolutely.
But even today, sometimes you make adjustments,
right?
You make compromises, but for good reasons.
For good reasons.
For good reasons. And I feel that should be there, because then only any relationship works.
True. We are going to wrap up. My final question to you. We call this podcast Behind the Strength. When you look back on your own journey, what has been your greatest source of strength?
My daughter. That little girl has been actually my strength. And I was even quitting and I was thinking I'm going to leave because the job and all. And husband was also saying, you've done 20 years. He was the one who was actually making up my mind. He said, listen, you come out, you'll do better. And then my daughter tells me, she was in the 12th in Cathedral and she was studying for CLAT. She says, Mom, your husband is giving you the opportunity to live your soul life. Right. Otherwise, any other husband would have said, oh, my wife is a big officer. We have a government house and all that. I can live off her.
Right.
That girl at times has really stood by me.
Right.
And she says, Mom, do this. Even the cases which I fight for manual scavengers, even the first case was fought by her. When she passed out of National Law, NLS, National Law School, Bangalore, she got a placement with Trilegal. She didn't join. I said, why don't you join? It'll come on your CV. She says, Mom, I don't want to do corporate slavery. I want to work on human rights. And the first case she fought was for the widows of manual scavengers.
That's amazing.
So, I would say behind the strength is my daughter Isha Singh, who even today was telling me that, listen, we need to expand and this matter of, okay, you go, I will help you with a little bit of drafting, because
Right.
you discussed, because she's been to the best law school in the country.
Right.
So she has that legal knowledge. So, the saying goes, a woman is a woman's best strength.
Absolutely.
So if we hold hands,
Yeah.
so I feel my biggest strength and my biggest blessing in my life has been my daughter. And I would not have been what I am without my daughter. My father used to say, the moment you all are climbing up the stairs, I can hear mother-daughter arguing. We argue, we fight, but we
Absolutely.
make up.
Yeah.
But yes, our heart beats for each other and we guard each other's interest.
That is
So people say that behind every successful woman, there's a man. I will say no. Behind every successful woman, it's her children.
very
It's her
true.
children. My son also, whenever I'm stressed, we practice together. Daughter is my strength, but it's my son I run to at times when there is so much stress. Like any issue, we are in the office and I say, listen, I have to go. He says, you go, I will manage your cases.
Right.
So I think for a woman, the biggest strength are her children. And our biggest joy is motherhood.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Resonate with that completely. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being with us, Abhaji. It's been such a enlightening and it's been such a lovely conversation with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think you've really walked my journey today and going with so many memories.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it with us.
My message to all women is, don't be silent, speak up before it's too late.
I agree.